You know, I wish I had a theme song for when we actually started. Like, I like having, like, when I record it on GarageBand, I hear like, it gets me into the thing. But here it's just like there's essentially no difference between
It's just silence.
yeah, we were just talking. Now we're just going to continue talking. But
Just a moment pause for the music.
yeah, now we're living in the world of it's on. I guess like that's the difference. If
So are
you,
we on now? Are we live?
yeah, we're live.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. How's
Yeah,
everyone doing?
I'm doing this one. Let's wait for a response.
A moment of silence for the audience to respond.
Yeah, I just had a nice big juicy steak. I feel manly
Oh,
energy when I have a nice when I have a big piece of prime rib, hardly
good.
cooked.
Hey, man, you can't go wrong with that protein.
Yeah, that's that's when I just start to feel it. I start to get in my inner oppressor. You know.
So, how do you like your steak? Are you a lemon and salt and pepper guy? Are you an A1 sauce guy? Are you a raw, bloody, just
Raw.
eat it with your bare hands kind of
Yeah,
guy?
that's really where I'm closest to. I have it raw and raw with just like a little bit of salt and pepper. And the salt
Okay.
and pepper I was talked into because my roommate was looking at me. He's like, "Is that really like that's how you eat it? Just plain like that, not barely cooked? You know, just a quick searing in and out."
It's classy.
Classy, yeah, yeah. That's the way the
I can
you
hear
know.
myself.
You hear yourself okay?
Oh, yeah. And I sound awful. So
Oh,
apologies.
yeah. Let me turn that down.
And mute. Ah, much better.
Yeah, you know, my voice sounds way different to myself than, or like, it's actually kind of nice hearing my voice through my headphones because I'm like, so that's what it is, you know?
It's what it is. It's just awful. I guess I'm just gonna accept it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've been living in this illusion my whole life that I have deep, like a deep manly voice, and then like when I actually hear it, it's like, like, so I'm like, oh, okay. At
It's
least
kind of
like,
crazy that we perceive our voice and how we look completely different because like how we hear it in our head and then like how we see ourselves in the mirror all the time. And then if you see yourself being recorded or photographed, you're like, whoa!
hmm.
I sound and look nothing like that. I clearly look awful. I need
You
to get in shape.
I've never thought about it with the in respect to how I look on camera, you know,
Mhm.
but definitely in the here. I think I'm not sure. I was probably talking to somebody else, but I think or what I've heard is like you sound different because you're hearing it like in your throat, like the
Mhm.
reverberations are like coming in your inner ear as well as
You're
through your
hearing it in your
mouth.
skull and it sounds much better.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I just have to have somebody, like, I'll put my mouth around somebody and talk. Like, I'll have to swallow them like the Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, and then I can have a nice
Yeah.
conversation. It's like, you sound great in here. Uncoil
It's like
my.
you naturally hear your own voice, like you're in a cathedral. Just sounds beautiful and like just
Yeah.
ah. And then you walk out in public and you hear it, you're like, oh, ugh,
Like a cathedral.
what
Yeah,
is
it's
this?
got that like cavernous, deep, like expansive baritone.
Yeah. Like you never
This
know.
is my
Imagine like,
voice.
well, wait, is that finish that?
No,
I
no,
interrupted
no, I didn't
rudely.
say anything. I was said this. I was just kind of trying to sound the way I feel.
I wonder how Gilbert Godfrey like feels like when he hears his own voice. Like like in his head he's like Morgan Freeman, but then when he watched a recording of him, it's like I was the parrot from Aladdin.
Yeah.
Oh, nasty. Like, what is that? They're like, here's money. I'm like, oh, okay.
That would be hilarious. Like if you showed it to him in a video and it was just like he just started tearing. It's like
Well, I did
that's
hear the funny thing about Gilbert Godfrey, from what I heard, this might just be a lie from the internet, but that's not his voice. Like when you hear Gilbert Godfrey's voice, that's not his default voice. Like if you call his cell phone number, he just sounds like a regular guy.
oh yeah.
But I guess somewhere along the career, he like rather than coming up with just a stage name, he became his persona. and he just went with it. And I guess that's how he separates his professional life and his home life. People are
Yeah.
like, "Are you Gilbert Godfrey?" And he'd be like, "No, I sound nothing like him." I'm like, "You must
Handsome
be right.
fellow, I'm sure.
He's got us all fooled."
That's funny. I actually didn't know that.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? Let's get something out of the way quickly.
Go for it.
Predator 2 or Predator. Because I was about to
Yes.
ask you something different, but then I was like, you know what? Let's not. People are just dying, for
Yeah.
this. They're
Let's shift
clamoring.
gears. Gilbert Godfrey straight into the Predator. All right, let's do
He's
this.
a sexual predator.
Well, there's more than one type of Predator.
Yeah.
Well, so for the audience, I came across a post of uh, in Predator 2, which is nowhere near one of the top Predators. Honestly, aside from the first Predator, the rest are kind of meh, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But there was a story of the one Predator giving the main character like a medieval musket gun at the end of the battle after he won, and there was a whole backstory on how that Predator got that gun. I didn't see it in like 2 weeks, but essentially there's a backstory of the Predator coming to Earth, uh, in like whatever, like 1300, 1400, whenever this was. Not that early.
Yeah, I think like when the whole pirates thing was going is like the
Yeah.
1600s, like 15 to 16, I think in there.
And this Predator comes down and he goes to hunt down all these pirates, and he finds this one pirate, and he's completely being, uh, is it mutiny? Where like the
Well,
pirates
there's something
group.
before that where like the guy gains the respect of the predator like somehow by being like kind of like a fearless like warrior. So like he
Oh,
gains the predator's respect, and then like his crew mutinies him, and the predator, because he had this respect for him, was like, he kills the whole crew for him, like take care of that problem.
my understanding was that they were fighting back to back, slaughtering the rest of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
captain's crew
Yeah, no,
because
that's what I'm saying. Like they
the
mutiny
thing in
against
this,
them, and then him and the
yeah,
predator join forces and like kill the crew, and then
which is awesome.
afterwards, yeah, which is
That's
awesome.
awesome.
It's
And then
also like,
at the end of the battle, like then they go side to side, and then they have a fight head to head with each other, which is like kind of crazy. Like you're a pirate, and then there's a mutiny. Now your whole crew's going after you,
no, what
and then
they do is duel. They don't like fight, like duke it out, because like that wouldn't be much of a fight. They have a duel, you know.
they have a
Also,
duke.
like that's what I was thinking when like we're picturing them fighting back to back. It's like the predator was probably picking up most of the weight on that one.
Probably.
Like
But you
he had a
respect the guy's
musket.
moves enough
He,
to chip in. They're like, you know what? Let me talk. I want to fight this guy. Let me give him a hand,
he
and
had
then we'll fight.
he had one of those little like like tint like where you have to put the bullet in. Like by the
Oh,
time
the
he
old
does
school
one
musket. You have
reloading,
to like pack it.
like yeah, the predator's already like blasted away the whole crew, and he's like, "We did it together,"
Yeah, let's not forget the guy has a shoulder laser cannon.
Yeah, exactly. Like so, he just do, and then the guy's like, "Okay, I got one shot, and it and it winged him." He's like,
oh,
"Ow." The
oh, I
guy
missed my
like,
shot.
yeah, the
Need a
guy
half
that
an
he
hour
shot
to live.
like would probably just like, "Ow." Didn't penetrate skin, but ow. That really hurt that musket ball. Careful with
Was that
that.
marble?
Yeah. Wow, like
Yeah, that's
five more
weird.
shots like that. You could have killed me. You could have well not killed me, but you could have made me bleed. Potentially. I'm definitely gonna bruise. And then the predator
Better
is
get
just
back
like
to
yeah, you like, killing everybody. How did he
But the
gain
real-
his respect? That actually part like I actually don't remember now. It was
So the whole reason he gained his respect is because apparently, and they never really established this in the Predator films, is that they mastered space travel, this alien race, but it's still a race that has like an honor system, and that's why they go to Earth. They just go to hunt the strongest beast or person that they find because they're all about hunting and whoever's the strong. It's kind of their space Dothraki.
yeah. I
Way.
like that thing where it's like they have like an ethic about it. Like, wait, we're
Mhm.
not like, bloodthirsty killers. Like we're like, predator is not even a good name for us. Like what we are is like we're warriors. Like we just like we're just looking for a fight. Like and we want your best and we want it under like good
Mhm.
conditions.
which is funny. You don't pick up on that on the first Predator film. It's the first Predator film is kind of like a, I forgot the way to phrase it, but it's not horror, but like there's a beast coming after you and you're on the run, and I'm not sure how do you classify that. It's like
Uh,
the scene of the raptors in Jurassic Park or
yeah.
Jeepers Creepers. It's a thing, or Jaws. You don't. It's
Yeah,
I
I
guess
don't
a
know. I've
prequel?
always kind of considered that horror. It's like a different kind of horror, though, because you're right. It's not like, ghosting. It's a different kind of fear.
Hmm.
Actually, I don't know how you would categorize that. Like, or how
I
you would
guess.
just differentiate, like, like, does people really say Jaws is their favorite horror film? It's kind of like, okay, I accept that it's a great, like, it's like, it's, if it is a horror film, it's my favorite horror film, but it's
Yeah.
kind of like you're missing the point of horror film,
Hmm.
right?
Just
Like,
because it has something has horror in it does not mean it's classified as just horror. And horror is an
yeah, I
element
guess
that can
it's
be
like a,
implemented in, not the main focus.
yeah, I don't know what you would call that, nature thriller. Like, I don't know.
A predator,
Yeah, you
the
would just,
predator genre.
yeah, Predator the genre, and then there's actually a movie in there called Predator, maybe.
Which the whole funny thing about this whole thing that it's an honor class system and like they respect warriors that they fight, and when they lose they'll give them a weapon, because at the end of the second Predator, where this whole musket thing came on, essentially the main character defeated the Predator, and as a sign of respect he gave him the musket, which I guarantee, like, his perspective might have been like, oh cool, I would have went with the laser cannon, but sure, I'll take a musket.
Yeah, yeah, like there's
But
not a
like,
bunch of these lying around Earth.
yeah, sure.
Oh, it was some Earthling you met. Like for him, that's like an exotic trinket, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's like somebody visiting your home and like giving you like a souvenir out of like your closet. Like,
Like, oh, here's a fork. I'm like,
yeah,
thanks.
this
Like,
is my
you could
fork.
have put this back in the drawer.
Yeah.
No, it's a gift.
Yeah. How about you give me something from where you're from? Like that would be
How
cool
about
to
that?
me.
Yeah, how about that heat-seeking mask
Yeah,
thing?
right.
Or
I don't. You can have your shoulder cannon. Maybe just a grenade. How about a grenade? Space grenade.
how about yeah? What about that cool wristwatch you got there? I
Yeah,
will
your
trade you for
wristwatch. Yeah.
my Apple
Can I
Watch.
get your iWatch? Your
It's like,
visibility cloak. And about that,
oh, that's another good one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would take any of these things. You know,
Nope, must.
like you must have an old version of that where it's like it's like where it's you're still completely invisible, but to them it was like, yeah, but like there was like a 1 minute like wait period between like pressing it and getting invisible. Like you can have the old one. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Like even the wristwatch, like that explodes. I'll take that. Given, I guess Samsung did it with their years back, but like it's not the same.
yeah, not the same.
The self-destruct phone, not the same. But the whole funny thing I found about that whole thing with the honor class system was that how honorable the first Predator was. I mean, the second Predator, and then the first one, he rage quit by hitting that self-destruct
Yeah,
button. He was
yeah.
like, "No, no, I'm not giving you no gift. I'm going to give you explosions."
Yeah, well, I guess maybe it still fits in within that system, like, or maybe he was just like, within any system within any like system, there's one guy that's not living up to the ideal, and he was just a big baby, and was like, I don't want to play anymore. I'm gonna blow up the earth.
That guy was he's a baby, man. What a sore
Predator.
loser.
Yeah, I've definitely been that guy where you reset the system when you lose. you
So
know?
it turns out the Predator from the second one, even though it's the least liked one, is a cooler Predator than the first one.
Yeah,
Or at least a more chill guy.
yeah, yeah.
Definitely wouldn't want to play poker with the first Predator. I would definitely go with the second
Yeah, he
Predator.
would definitely flip the table, be like, "You're cheating, whatever, man. You got lucky. You got lucky." Calm down, Predator. Do any of the Predators ever have names?
Potentially, I'd assume so.
Because
I don't think they speak English, so it's hard to
yeah,
like tell me. I guarantee maybe in the script it's like, I don't know, like Garth.
yeah. They probably have some name that's all like 8 like vowels and like apostrophes.
Yeah.
you know, Apostrophes and accent marks and things like that.
Mhm.
His name is. I was just
Which,
thinking that
speaking,
because I couldn't like distinguish between the two people. I didn't want to start giving them human names. Yeah.
well, they got weird mouth.
Yeah.
Like I don't see them talking that easily. I'm curious how they brush their teeth because they like got
It's,
fangs and
it's,
then
it's
like
actually it's probably pretty easy because like they when their mouth opens up, it goes into four quadrants, and then like the teeth come out. So it's like cut, 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 cut. Just like four little teeth, you know.
I just imagine going to the dentist as a predator is not that bad. Just like open up, like oh okay,
Yeah,
just opens up the
exactly. Like
entire
that's
mouth.
what I'm saying. Like when you get like open, it's like you can really get back into the wisdom teeth. You know what I'm saying? Like get a deep scrub in there.
And the dentist, the predator dentist, has his like utensils on his wrist because everything needs to be attachment to your body. So
Yeah.
he's got the drill and everything, just pulling it out like a blade.
Yeah.
Ka-ching!
Whoops! I put the wrong one in there. I accidentally impaled him.
What flavor floss do you like? Mint, cinnamon, self-destruct button. Oh, I pressed the wrong
No,
button.
no. Oh, whoops, whoops. Mint, cinnamon, or blood of your enemies? Blood of your enemies. Blood of your enemies. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
that's a favorite.
It tastes really good. I just love that feeling.
Um, oh, and speaking of names, we forgot last time what the we left off on. We didn't know what how Oscar from the Oscars got his name.
Yeah. How did he get his name?
It turns out that someone that worked at the academy saw it, and she was like, "Oh, that looks like my uncle Oscar," and yeah, that's how it got its name. It's just some dude's
Boy, you know
an
how you were.
employee just look
Remember
very
how
unclimactic.
last week we were saying it's better to leave the mystery, like you don't
Yeah.
want something explained. The Oscars going under that category of things. I was just like, well, I don't know, name it something. Oscar could have been anything, you know.
It
Blue.
really could. It really could have been anything.
Right?
Which,
Like who knows how many uncles this lady's got?
it
You
did
know,
remind me though of that. You know the shark from Finding Nemo, Bruce.
Meg. Uh,
Meg.
that,
We are Bruce. We don't eat fish.
yeah, right,
He
right, right.
So the way he got his name was, I think he was Steven Spielberg. No, he was one of the creators' lawyer. It reminded me of that. Like, oh, this guy reminds me of someone. Let's just call him that.
Yeah, that I actually kind of like though. I think that's kind of cute. I view it differently because I wasn't like because it didn't seem like a name that had like mystery behind it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like his name is Bruce and he's a shark. Like what the hell's that? So it was like it just seemed like you could have given it like that seems like a name that was picked out of a hat. The Oscars though, it seems so like fitting because like you just got so used to saying it, I guess, that like it feels like there's like meaning behind it, but it's like no, it was just lady's uncle.
Just a lady's uncle. Personally, I'd like to have the real Oscar on the side, and he gives the award. Like, hey, congratulations, here's a mini me.
Yeah. Looks
And
nothing
they're
like
like,
me.
oh,
Looks nothing like me. Here you go. I'm much handsomer.
you're both just bald. I just
Yeah. Hold on.
well, names are funny.
Going back to the Predator, though, there was something else about that whole thing. Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying to you, I think, the other day when we were talking about it. They were like, it was really the whole idea of what they were doing was like kind of before its time. Is it's kind of interesting because now like they'd be totally on board for that. Like, oh, you're building up a mythology for like a universe and a world, and it's like because he gives him that gun
The
at the
potential
end
for
of
franchise.
yeah, exactly. Like because you give him the gun at the end of the second one, it's like now we want to know about the gun. So you already set yourself up for a third film. You create characters and things in this. Maybe you could, give him an alien name and be like, I am Garth or whatever you said his name was, Garth.
Just Garth.
I'm Garth the Predator. Here I am back in hunting pirates. And although for an honor class society, okay, you guys aren't really picking fair fights,
Yeah.
For all
Turns
your
out Garth is a pacifist.
yeah, for all your talk about like we just seek out the big and the best, like that's like you're saying this like I'm a big game hunter, and then you go and hunt rabbits, like you take them down with your and not like you don't just hunt them, you hunt them with like the what's that the one that Rambo had, like the big one,
The minigun?
the 50 cal. Like you're hunting rabbits with a 50 cal, like,
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm all about honor. I do it the right way.
There's a fly in the room. Grab me my AK-47.
Yeah, right. I only look for the toughest fights. Bring me this fly. Yeah. So
I honestly could see a predator being defeated by a fly because those things. I don't know about you, but it takes me a while to hunt those things down. Like if they get stuck in a room.
oh yeah, when I was working as a production assistant on something when I was younger, I was like, my job was just like watch the generator or something, make sure it doesn't
Yeah.
get stolen by a homeless guy. I was in some room and they were shooting at a giant. Actually, I don't forget what I was watching, but I was in some room in Giant Stadium because they were filming
Hmm.
a commercial, and there was a fly in there, and I was in there for like a long ass time, and I wish I was being recorded, like at this point, because I shot a fly out of the sky with a rubber band. It was the
Yeah,
great.
you need video evidence, otherwise it didn't happen.
Yeah, right. Like it's. I mean,
I could be like, I shot a fly with a catapult, but like,
yeah,
we're
right. I was sitting in Connecticut and I hit him in Montana, and I was aiming for him.
you need video evidence, man.
Yeah,
Like maybe in the
exactly.
1800s, they're like, send me a painting or it didn't happen. But now it's like, now it's all video.
Portrait or it didn't happen, bro. uh, uh, uh.
Just oil painters running around trying to paint as fast as
Yeah,
possible.
exactly. Oh, that lovely lady Mona showed me her tits from down the alley. Portrait or it didn't happen. Oh crap! Now I have to
Where are
learn.
my oils?
Now I have to learn perspective and layering. Show my friends I got laid.
Yeah, today's standards don't really go really well. It's like the last 100 years.
Yeah, I gotta show my friends my trophy. Oh God, it took me 2 years to show this.
Hey, what is hey, do you hear Greg got married? No. Oh, is his wife attractive? Like, oh, one second. Let me mail you the oil painting of her. She's quite lovely.
Yeah, yeah.
That chick is
Oil
a
painting
oh.
or did happen. That's that's hilarious. uh, was there
Back
anything
at it.
else? Anything else about that Predators thing? Oh, I guess one last thing before you completely move off it about the Predator. You know what I liked about that the most though? I like seeing something through somebody else's perspectives. Like,
Hmm.
I really like, a lot of times I end up appreciating things just because I get to see how somebody else saw it. And that was the
Hmm.
thing about Predator 2. That's why I found that post so interesting. It wasn't because, like, I think Predator 2 was a great movie, like, when I'd seen it.
Neither do I.
Like,
Yeah.
and but like for this one guy that watched it, like he was picking out different things that were like had totally faded into the background for me. Like I was wanting a completely different movie, but he just got to enjoy like, ooh, this little part of it. Like,
Hmm.
ooh, they're building a world. Ooh, they're talking more about the predators and that whole thing at the end, and he knew about the expanded universe. Like it's like seeing a totally different movie to me. Like like from my viewing experience, mine was just like, oh, whatever, like kind of like schlocky like action movie, like money grab. But to him, it's like he saw like, because I'm sure there were some people in there that were, it meant something to them. I'm sure not to everybody. It was just, like let's just make money, like for
Yeah, makes sense.
some people cared, I'm sure, and it's and it's cool that some people are able to pick those parts out, or just like out of like the muck find little like traces of gold, because that is like genuinely interesting,
I think it was a foreshadow so they could start the third one
yeah.
on that note, which is interesting because it also reminded me in the Walking Dead series, um, the first I think it was the pilot episode. Rick ends up getting surrounded by zombies, and he ends up going in a tank,
Yeah.
and then there was a zombie in the tank, and
I've seen this. Yeah.
there was a yeah, and then there was a grenade in there as well. So what was I forgot the creator's name. The guy that got kicked off,
Yeah.
the director,
Frank Darabont.
Frank Darabont. So we established that. And his plan for starting season two was to go back to that scene, the tank with the soldier in it that turned into a zombie and the grenade. They didn't end up shooting it because of whatever production drama or whatever.
Because he
And
got fired.
he got fired, but the whole concept was really interesting because he was going to start the second season following a soldier during the middle of the zombie apocalypse, and then his tank gets swarmed, and he's literally stuck in a truck, I mean, in a tank with a grenade, and he's dealing with this internal struggle of like, do I die and turn into a zombie, or will I blow myself up? And
Yeah.
at the very end, when he's about to pull the pin, he dies. And that's where it's supposed to cut to Rick coming into the tank.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think they had a couple of stories like that because I remember also like there was a scene in the first one where like there's like this lady who's kind of like lady, this like emancipated zombie thing that like he
Oh,
walks
the
up
one that
and
was like
shoots
cut in
to.
half. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and like they were gonna do like her kind of story too, how they got there. At least that's what I heard.
No, but I think that's
Like
great. It's
maybe they,
like
yeah,
spread out of just the main 3 or 5 characters. Like introduce new ones. Like that was one of the things I love about Game of Thrones was that it doesn't focus on just the Starks because the Starks, in all honesty, are just getting shit and destroyed the entire time. You're kind of introduced to other characters that you might hate initially, and then like they have their own arcs. Then you end up getting sympathy for them, and like they end up becoming like some of your like the best characters on the show.
yeah,
So it was interesting. I like when creators do that. They branch off from just the main cast or the main characters and introduce other characters, maybe for a small role initially, but it could branch off into something bigger.
yeah. I mean, I think TV especially you need that. Like,
Hmm.
if you don't, you end up. I think, TV ends up getting these stories that all become kind of self-referential to like the process of making a TV show, where a lot of it is about like can people change? Because like when you're making a TV show, you get sort of that thing where the audience, like you get into a groove of making character, you start putting them in the same scenarios over and over again because like it's like that's what you know how to write and like that's what the
Yeah.
people want, and then like they don't like deviation, so it ends up just becoming and it's also like what story is like meant to span out over the course of 10 years, like well, over one person's life. People really don't accept like too much change in a character. Like there's or at least that's what like the theory was. So then when you don't branch out into other people, it's like you end up becoming these stories where it's all like the only thing you're wondering is like is this like it's like is this life eternal? Like we're we're in this thing and we're not changing and we're just doing the same thing over and over again. And
Hmm.
those are interesting things to contemplate, but I think it's more a reflection of of what of the constraints of the thing that you're making. Like they start to become like the story. So it's interesting in that way, and it's also it's not like that doesn't happen in life at all, and it's not like people don't wonder these sorts of things. So it's relevant, but I think it's more interesting when you get to bring out into other people, because then the story does get to change, and changes in a way where people aren't reflexively upset about it,
Yeah.
because you get into that what would you call that that rhythm of a show, and then it's like once the show starts breaking rhythm, like you start going like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like you're making me uncomfortable. Stop it.
It
It's
makes
like,
sense in like a sitcom because that's part of the formula. You want a 24-minute
yeah,
piece of entertainment that's just escapist that you could jump in at any time, and even someone that never watched it before could jump in and still enjoy the show.
yeah,
But then there's shows that are not to say sitcoms don't do that. I feel like sitcoms during like seasons, there's going to be like some sort of arc, like
yeah. But
Rachel and Ross get into a relationship,
it's limited.
or oh, the prison got destroyed and we need to move on, or
Yeah.
oh, I don't know.
I mean, they try, be, but it's they're working within constraints, and y sometimes the constraints make it like really cool and interesting, because like you're working within a constraint, and then it's like how within this tight little box can I express different things, and
Mm.
that gives it an interesting form, as if because or else you become like a movie I did not enjoy. Like we were kind of talking about this last week. Movies that you don't enjoy watching them, but
Hmm.
like as an experience. But then it's
They're
like,
an experience, yeah.
yeah, they're more like an experience than, or just like they're a puzzling experience. So you don't get to fully enjoy it, but then afterwards it's like fun to contemplate.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that movie Schenectady, New York?
No.
It's like the Charlie Kaufman movie about the guy that's trying to like capture life in his art, and it's just like this impossible task. Like
No.
he builds a city, and like he has a guy playing him, and then he realizes like, oh my god, it's like, and like the guy's following him around like trying to learn, and then he's like, well crap, now I have to get a guy to play the guy that's following me because like it's a part of my life. You know what I mean? He's essentially undertaking an impossible task. Like, can I capture every part of life in art? But it's like it's clearly impossible. So like you
Mm-hmm.
know like so he starts off with a stage and he builds it into a city. You know what I'm saying? Like like that's like the plot of the movie.
Tone it down and take it down a notch.
Yeah,
Just
and
focus.
it's like yeah, it's actually it's a cool idea, like because that is
So is
like the
the
interesting
film
thing
just
about
following him just lose his mind essentially?
it's not that he's losing his mind. It's just like you know you're just seeing this man like undertake this impossible task of and just but the reason I brought that movie up was just because like without any sort of constraint on what you like on what you can do, it like the art kind of needs that. You know, there's as much as people hate having like censors and guidelines on TV because they want to be free. It's like there's also though a part of that that makes it kind of great. You know, like for example, remember the movie Private Parts, like the Howard Stern movie.
No. Is that the one where he's naked on the poster?
Yeah,
And
somewhere
he's
he's
a
naked on the
giant.
poster.
Yeah, I've seen the poster.
It's a
I've
good
not
movie.
seen
It's a
the
pretty
film.
good movie, but like
Yeah,
you know,
I was never sold on the poster, so I never moved forward and watched the movie.
yeah. I don't want to see Howard Stern's cock, thank you. Next on the video on demand, please.
I genuinely remember seeing that at Blockbuster. I was like, oh, nope.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually a good movie. Like surprisingly, because I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you wouldn't think it would like be good because it's you know why would you? It's like guy going outside of his comfort zone. He's like
It's
you know,
Howard Stern, man.
he's
And
a radio. Well, that's why they call him the
Yeah.
king of all media, or at least they used to.
I see
Anyway.
it.
But
I gotta give it a shot. It's one of those things I just overlooked, and then
yeah.
I gotta get back into it.
Like a lot of like the movie is him fighting with like people who don't you know they don't want like dirty stuff on like TV like or they don't like dirty stuff on the radio and it's him trying to get
True.
like around the censors and make comedy
Mhm.
and like you know like he's doing like a game show and he's like you know he's like
It's
ooh.
fitting for him.
Yeah, like this was like a true story. Like this is what made him good. It was like you know, it's like it's like this password. It's like you know, another word for chicken. He's like, I think I got a big old cock. You know, like it was, you
Just
know, and
working
it's like
around
the
the
double
censors.
entendre kind of makes it okay with the censors. But
Yeah.
like, what makes it funny is them trying to get around the censors. But then once you got him out of there, and it's like now I'm on you know Sirius and I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. You know, like,
Mhm.
hey, we could have girls coming in here, like, masturbating for, you know, 20 minutes, like, you know, or we could show boobs, we could curse, you could say whatever you want. Like, it loses, like, a little bit of that, like, of that funness of, like, finding an edge and playing with it. Like, it's just like, I can do whatever I want. I mean, it's, you know, it's not like there's nothing in there. Like, it's still somewhat entertaining, but it's more fun and it's more interesting, the kind of art you have to create when it's like, you can't just do anything.
It's challenging trying to work around limitations, but I think if you're definitely creative enough, it makes the content a lot more entertaining.
Yeah.
Just watching like the struggle and then like working around that.
Yeah, because you have
It's
to
definitely there's an element to that.
yeah, you have to get creative solutions to problems.
Yeah.
You know, like that's I mean, like it's sort of the fun of like you know it's the fun of a movie. Like you know, you have to make it fit within a 2-hour box. You know, instead of like you have 30 seasons to tell a story. It's like you could really like you know, and there might be something in there too, but you know, part of the funness of it is the limitations. Like always, like so. Yeah.
fun.
How did we start off on this?
I don't know, but it made me think of the new South Park game where they titled it "The Fractured Butthole,"
Yeah,
which is a
fractured
clever way of working around the censors of saying the
Yeah.
fractured butthole, but it's fractured butthole.
Yeah,
So it makes sense in two ways, which is
exactly.
hilarious.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and that's like a way funnier joke. But if they just let you like say on TV, yeah, you could call the game an asshole.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
like
not as funny.
okay.
It's got like a moment's ha,
Yeah, it's like
but
oh,
like
they
the
named this.
fractured butthole is like
Yeah, that's really funny.
you could really appreciate the amount of like thought or like the cleverness in it. That definitely gives it an extra level of I don't know, creativity.
Yeah,
And
that
joke.
extra level of creativity and just
Yeah.
An
And it's just the
extra
title of a
interest in
game.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's that kind of stuff, man. It all makes it worth it.
No,
I really have no idea how we got off on that.
oh, wait, let's see.
I
Let's see.
think we brought that plane home. I think we actually got that into the hangar, though. I think that was a
Yeah, I
successful
think it went
landing.
really well.
Yeah, I think.
So we went from Gilbert Godfrey to the Predator to the Predator giving a musket a gift in the honor class to the Oscars.
Back to the Predator.
Back to the Predator.
Now I'll go back to the Oscars.
Now let's go to Oscar's house, fam. Like, what's he up to?
Actually, here's what I want to ask you. Let's
Let's get real for a second.
No, I don't want to get real. Although, actually, if you want to get real, I realize I'm sickly addicted to coffee. Like,
Oh, I've accepted that.
yeah.
I'm not sure if I've mentioned it in the cast before, but like I am not myself until I have coffee.
I didn't realize how bad it was though. Like you know, I had like what I thought was an ear infection, but it turns out to just be like allergies or something. And it's like causing like weird pressure builds up in my ear, and it was kind of making me like nauseous just for like a day. So I start getting like ideas in my head about, you know, self-diagnosing, and start like I like to try like different things. So I'm like, I'm not gonna have a coffee, and I thought like I was like, and then I felt really bad and really
Start getting
low.
a headache and everything.
Well, not even not a headache, but I was just like super low and depressed. Like I took like I never nap, and I took like 2 naps during the day, and was still like lethargic going my way through it. And then finally, like 6 o'clock, I was like, I just can't like keep like I can't keep this life. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, like
Get me a macchiato. I
Yeah.
can't take it anymore.
what? But like I thought I was sick. I thought it was the ear. Right? Like I thought it was like I was experiencing this because like my ear infection was getting worse, and it turned out to not even be infected. It was just one day where it was sort of like irritated and like it made me dizzy. But like I thought I was sick the next day because I decided like in the morning like, oh, I shouldn't have coffee. That's probably bad for like the infection. Like I don't know where I got that idea from, but it was just like that's what popped into my head, and so I went with it. And then I felt sluggish all day, and then I had the coffee at 6, and I was like, I felt like myself again. I was like, oh. Like that was totally unrelated. I just like am a sick like, you know, addict for like I would be walking around like Eeyore like all day if I didn't have the coffee. Like yeah, I really would be like that. You know, like
Well, it's socially acceptable. Like, it really is a drug. It's an altering substance that we take, and it's just socially acceptable. But we don't process it. We don't accept or recognize it as that. But you can get a dependency on it, and like
Yeah.
have withdrawals.
I just didn't realize how much of like who like me at this point in my life is because of the coffee. You know, it's like I walk around like bounding around with energy, feeling good most days, like happy, positive, and it's like I like, you know, but a lot of that is coffee energy. Like it's coffee delirium.
I can't bash it. I accept what it is.
Yeah.
I am a sluggish. I try to have off days without it. But like today, I tried to not have it. I tried not to go to Dunkin'. Not a sponsored ad. But I couldn't get my work done. So I went and got coffee, got pulled over on the way, came back, and I hammered out my work very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I guess I just don't like the idea of being like so dependent on something. That's why it struck me so like distinctively. I was like, oh my goodness, like I really need this crap. Like, but
You can slowly weed yourself off it.
Yeah,
and that's what like energy.
but
But at the same time, like, you know, no, coffee's great. Coffee's a hug on your insides.
yeah, that's the other thing. You know, people have to get over this illusion that's like that there's a thing like perfect health. You know, that
We're a very health conscious society at the moment, and not that that's a bad thing, but at the same time, like, take it down a notch. Like let's all be healthy,
Yeah.
but let's not, you know, aggressively push on people that like maybe have like a health illness or
Yeah.
like, you know, just struggle to like maintain health or like fitness, whatever.
Yeah, well, definitely you don't want to do that, because also like this, it's like the thing where it's just like we're all going to the same place, like, you know, like let them get there the way they want to get there. And like I think health people have this idea when it's like whenever like, or maybe let me put that a little more concisely so I don't, you know, some people seem to have like this illusion where it's, oh, something's going wrong. That must mean like I'm doing something wrong. Like I have to like be able to fix this or control this. You know, oh,
Hmm.
I'm sick here. It's like, oh, I have a cold. I must not. I got to get something out of my diet, or like change the time I eat it, or get the right macros, nutrients, whatever it is. But
Hmm.
like, truth is, it's just like this is it's a decaying system you're in control of. It's not going to last you forever, no matter what you do. You could be as healthy as you want, perfect diet, quote unquote, whatever that is, but like complications are just going to arise.
Oh yeah.
The thing I like to try and say now is like even God could not keep a snake out of the garden. Like your little perfect system will have something get into it. Like it's just a matter of time. So don't
It's gonna happen.
yeah. So don't
That,
get so like freaked out about it. Like for the most part, like the body can take it. I mean, you don't have to abuse yours.
yeah.
Don't abuse. Don't make yourself feel worse. Like find things that make you feel happy and fill you with like energy and joy to live. But don't think that that means that it's going to last forever. You know.
Absolutely. Well, there's a saying. There's only two guarantees in life. One is death, and the second one is you have to pay taxes.
Yeah. Right.
So, so
Yeah.
unless
Facts.
unless you want to be like that guy from Japan that lived on like an island for 30 years until he got kicked off, uh, yeah, that's life. Just got to go with it.
Yeah. I don't. I
Have you
don't.
heard?
I think I have heard of this guy, but that's just
Wasn't
why I'm
that?
not quitting coffee. Like that whole thing was just to me justify my coffee. So who's this guy?
Just,
I
just some
justify my addictions.
this was in the news a while ago. It was just some random old guy that kind of had enough of society, wanted to take a break from everything, and he found an island. And he liked it so much, he just started living there all the time, and he was forced to leave uh, within like the year or fairly recently. Like his plan was to die on that island.
Mm.
Like he was waiting for a tsunami to come and just take him away. He didn't want anyone to bother
He
him or
was like
anything.
Jack and Lost.
Essentially, yeah. And yeah, they eventually took him out of the island, and I think he started to get sick or something. I didn't follow through with it, but it was a very fascinating story of a guy that like wanted a simpler life, didn't want anyone to bother him. He liked living on an island. He liked fishing. He liked walking around
Why did they
naked.
take him out if he was just sitting
Uh,
there?
I think someone reported that he looked ill, and they forced the police or whoever to remove him from the island because they didn't want, like, I guess, an old naked man's body just chilling on the beach. But he was like, no, the guy was ready to die from a tsunami. He wanted to go. Let him go.
Bring it, motherfuckers!
The guy found bliss, man. Just let him rock it out. Like
Yeah,
he's on
right.
an island. No one else is going on that island.
If he's not,
That's it's,
if he's not hurting anybody, like, and it's
that's
not
my
like
mentality.
what you're using the island for. It's like you would let birds shit there, like no problem. I can't build a house. I guess it's because I guess it's just the thing where they don't want bums. That's
But
mean.
he was taking care of the island. He was the only one on there.
Yeah,
Sure,
but
he
it's-
was naked. I'm not sure that maybe that wasn't.
Yeah, but it's like you gotta pay. Yeah, you
You
gotta
gotta pay them taxes, man.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta
Remember
pay the
two
man.
guarantees in life. Life will end, and you gotta pay taxes. I don't care you aren't wearing clothes. You gotta pay them taxes.
Yeah, I don't care that you're on a place that we weren't even looking at. It belongs to somebody. Like it's been mapped and it's been bought like by somebody. There's some rich, either a corporation or rich individual that owns that land and just like it just like parcel number 1 million in like a portfolio that he doesn't even look at.
Dude, the man was 82 years old.
Damn, it's tough.
That is
30
quite inspiring.
years.
He lived 30 years on an island alone,
Can't you
and he
just like
loved it.
give it to him at that point? Like
I think so.
it's
Yeah,
like even if it wasn't like exactly like kosher, to the system, where they're like, okay, just like let him have it. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you're playing a game of pickup, you get a little get a foul, you just say, you know what, I'm not gonna call that one, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like he already won, just let him like finish it out.
well, here's a quote.
He was gonna
Finding a
last
place,
10 years more.
not
He's
even.
lucky.
Yeah. He's
Nope.
planning on a tsunami to take him out. It just took him 3 decades. He's just like any day now. But
Yeah.
his quote, I found the quote from him. It's like, he said, "Finding a place to die is an important thing to do. I have decided here's the place for me."
That's hey man, I'm with him. You know, I think you can let somebody have that small dignity of getting to choose their own where they want to go. Oh, the dog's acting up. Actually, it turns out she's the thing that I was allergic to. Like that's why I was getting like these. It sucks. I gotta
Is it
like.
the fur?
I guess. I gotta kick her out of my bed though, and it's like I don't let her in my room anymore, and like she's getting like stressed at night, like scratching on my door, like pissing on
Chill it down.
on my stairs.
Like she doesn't need to sleep on your bed, especially if it's giving you an allergic reaction.
I feel so bad. I want this dog to live in like a ranch. Hold on one second.
Well, listeners, it's just you and me now. And now our plot destroy Stephen while he's away. We have multiple options. We have drowning. We have death by missile. Oh, he's coming back. Let's act casual, like we said nothing.
I'm back.
Hello, Stephen. Welcome back.
Were you talking shit about me?
No, we've said me and the audience have said nothing but pleasant things about you.
Get him out of here! Get him out of here! Boo! Boo!
It's definitely not a ploy that I've devised with your dog and the listeners how to destroy. The dog distracts you for a few moments just so I could talk to the listeners one-on-one and decide on how we, plan your demise.
I walk out of the room, the door just shuts behind me and like bolts shut. How did he do that?
The room starts filling with water. Like, what's going on? The dog's on the other side, just like filling it with a hose, just like not letting me in the bed. Take that!
Kick me out, will you?
I'll show you.
Yeah. Master.
Who's the dog now?
All right.
Oh, anyway.
Yanni, what I want to ask you is, what kind of music you listen to these days? I have to say, for as well as I know you, I feel like I know the least about your music taste.
I still listen to the same stuff from high school.
Like
some
what?
electric dance. Seosin, Atreyu. It's like that. They would label it as emo, but it's also like ska, screamo, alternative rock. I really like Foo Fighters. Ultimately, I listen to a lot of Foo Fighters. I like Dave Grohl.
Yeah, I like Dave Grohl as like a person. Do you watch like any like his like documentaries that he put on HBO?
Yeah, I think the guy's fantastic. He actually just put on like a 22-minute video of just him playing a song that's 22 minutes long, and he's playing every instrument simultaneously.
Really?
Fascinating. I loved it.
He's not doing like a one-man band. I'm assuming these are like edited together.
It was edited together, so like there was a production behind it, but like essentially like he'll go into a studio, and he made like a long track with multiple different music instruments because his daughter's learning music, and he created this as an incentive for like, oh, there's students learning instruments. Here's a song that they could actually practice and play to. I found that fascinating. So essentially, he went into a recording room and like they organized all the instruments in like a circle, and he would do each instrument of each part individually, and then someone just stitched it all together. And it's
that's the thing. Well, first off, props to his daughter for for taking on that beast. You got a guy that was in one of the most influential bands in the 90s, like, and then had after that had his own like Foo Fighters is a very successful band, very big.
Very successful.
Yeah, and he's kind of like become like the elder like statesman of rock and roll, I feel like, right? Like that was gonna say
Absolutely.
the other thing I like about, like, that's what I kind of like about him. He seems to like be very like open with other artists and like trying to bring people in, and like kind of like he's kind of a good like bridge between like new and old school like rock.
Yeah. And he seems like a humble person. Like everything I've seen of him is genuinely a nice guy.
Yeah.
And incredibly creative. Huge fan. And then other than that, I listen to electric dance music, which is not the same because it's all a bunch of, druggies and people that like to party a lot. And
Not you though. That's not your
not all the
scene.
time. No, it's
Not.
not. Not. I like Dead Mouse, and maybe that's because I know he sits in his, house all the time, just making stuff. Like he has a live broadcast of him just fiddling around with knobs and buttons, and it's funny because like on live stream, people see him like start to develop and find the songs. Like,
That's
I
really
find it fascinating.
cool. That's
Yeah.
actually I didn't know he did this. He does this on
Mhm.
what, like Twitch or something?
I think he streams it on like Twitch or some sort of streaming site. But then there's like other things like he needed vocals for one of his songs, and he's going through like submissions and stuff. And like he found one. And he actually like it's funny because you're seeing it like they have it on YouTube now, but it's funny watching it. I like watching people's processes.
Yeah, that's
And,
what I was gonna say. That's why it sounds cool. Like you get to,
Mhm.
especially for. I would actually like to watch something like that because I've always said that I don't have like my free, like I have a very low understanding of music. Like I'm not. I've my theory is that beats don't exist. Like there is no such thing as a beat to people dance to. Like that's how low my like ear is for music. So
Well,
like
I need to buy you a metronome. That's all it is. It's just click, 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 click.
yeah, but I
click.
never hear it in the song is the problem. It's like, what are
Well, here's the
people
thing.
following?
Here's the thing: you're not supposed to hear it. You're supposed to feel it. It's an. I'm not a music person, so I don't know the proper way of phrasing this. But it's something you got to feel. Like you get into the rhythm of it. By all means, I'm tone deaf,
Yeah.
so like I can't really tell the difference between like two really songs that are similar, but like one's a little off.
And you know what else? Like, I don't understand, like, what people are doing when they're saying, like, oh, he sings in an F flat. You know? I can understand that on instrument because it's like you're playing a different part of the instrument, but like you're playing a different part of your voice.
I think it's like
Like-
the amount of the tone. So like
It's like, but I can't.
Whatever.
What are you measuring? What are you hearing? You know, like people, and like people that get it, like they just understand. You know, the guy goes like, "Give me an A, a high A." Is like, "Oh," they're like, "Oh, I hear it." Like that was a note, but I have no idea what note it was. Like what? It's like who classified this?
I think
It's like
it's
an alien language to me. It's really strange.
It is
I understand it not at all.
well, if it was film, I definitely would understand it more. But it just like most other things creative, there's a craft to it,
Yeah.
and it takes years and years to develop like the ear and then like the knowledge of it and the theory of why things are and why one thing works and another one doesn't.
Yeah. Well, that's
Or
the
the-
that's the thing that like music snobs, like that's the thing they have against kind of music now, where they're like it's all too simple. Like everything's kind of pop. It's all like three chords. Like this is what they say. I'm paraphrasing.
No, absolutely.
Like so, I mean, I'm like quoting them. So send your hate mail there. Like I don't even know what three chords means. Like you know what I mean? It's like no,
Three, four,
I hear a lot of
12,
noises. There's more than three noises in the song.
But you're right there. Like at least what's commercially successful for the most part is like a very simplified, catchy, almost to the point of annoying kind of song.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
like they're very similar.
Yeah, it does.
And you could tell very like, when listening to a song what would be commercially successful, what wouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, it is all kind of
For the most
simple.
part,
Like, it does kind of sound the same, I guess, or it's like, or something like that. Like, I don't know. I'd have to, like, I do this a lot. Like, I try to, like, deconstruct it in my head in my car, but, like, I don't get much understanding, like from it. It's really is just a foreign, like, language to me. The whole, everything that has to do with music is just foreign to me. Like, I don't,
Fascinating. Just foreign.
yeah, totally foreign. But that's why I would like to see him. I'd be kind of curious to see what it's like to see something kind of form together. I mean, I guess I can kind of understand it. Like I've kind of seen this thing in like movies where it's like it's like someone's like like tapping like, and then you just sort of add like, boom.
Yeah.
And then someone comes in like boom, 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 boom.
It's the build-up, man. It's individual layers, and it's
Yeah.
how you manipulate
Yeah,
it, and
exactly.
how you build it up,
You
and
just
then you have to
kinda-
bring it back down, and then bring it back up into like a climax, and like there's a rhythm to it,
Yeah.
and that's something that you can't really be taught. It's kind of like something you learn from trial
Yeah,
and error and from analyzing stuff. And I don't
yeah.
know.
I guess I sort of understand it on that level at least. It's just like kind of like synchronizing these kind of different sounds. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess it's something. I guess for me, it's more felt experience. I don't have the words for it. I don't have the vocabulary. But I really don't understand. Like, oh, F. Give me an A. Ah.
Yeah, it's not.
Like, what pitch is that?
It's not our element, so
Ooh,
it's not for us to
bing.
question or.
It's not for us to question.
Yeah,
It's the
we're the
elephant
dumb masses,
graveyard.
man.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about people that watch videos, and that's how musicians feel about the people that listen to their music.
So
Or at least if it's something,
Dead Mouse though is still
huh?
making stuff. See, because like I feel like his name like totally dropped out of like the scene. Like I mean, he was prominent there like 10 years ago, but I mean
I think it's still fairly around.
he's still
I think
creating.
it's just, yeah, he's still creating stuff. I think the electric dance music scene has just become very oversaturated.
Yeah,
So a lot of artists that were very big back in the day aren't really as relevant anymore because, given it also changed a little bit.
it's
That's
also
another thing.
kind of easy to parody and like mock. Like is the other thing about dance music, or like electro. Like this is I mean everything kind of goes. So it's like you could say it was this, you could say it was that, you could just say it's like inevitable time. But I feel like that's like one of the things that like hurt it from like sustaining. Is like it became like it's very easily mocked kind of genre. Do
Just don't-
do 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 do. Can you feel love? Boop 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 boop.
Dots.
Yeah, and then like there's like these DJs who are like, like, are you playing a set? It's like, yeah, and then they just go play like on their thing, and then they just sit up there and go like this. I mean,
Well,
some
that's
of them
another
mix it.
reason
Some
I
of them
like
mix it
Dead
together
Mouse. He
live.
doesn't. He doesn't do that, and like, people that mix live is mind blowing to me.
Yeah,
Uh, I have a friend that manages these two twin little like 8-year olds, and they're DJs, and they manually DJ, and it's like mind blowing. They're like switching the vinyl, and like they're switching back and forth, and like they're manually doing it. They're not just clicking play from a pre-edited playlist.
yeah. I've heard some guys kind of like try to break that down a little bit, but like once again, very tough for me to digest. That comedian Russell Peters,
Yeah,
like the big comedian. Yeah, like he's apparently great at that. He's like a great,
really.
yeah, like he's like, and like and he's really like he's snobby about it too. He's like like he doesn't think the new guys doing it are really like they're not doing the art man of it. Like it's just easy like what they're doing. Like they're just like picking up like a like they're just I can't even remember the
It's
words.
it's all digitally edited. They're not. There's an art form to just
Yeah,
like any other
because he
kind of
does it with like turntable stuff. And,
Yeah.
like he really mixes it together. But like for them, he feels like I guess I don't know. I see. Like my head's already spinning. Like
Yeah.
trying to get it.
Well,
Like what
one
like what that word
one
what his words meant. But
well,
apparently
one
he's really
way
good.
Yeah, one means of doing it, the new way of doing it, is very digital. Everything is like an individual track, and you can manipulate it on a screen on your computer. Where DJing with vinyl and like the turntables is very analog. You literally need to have the song on one disc and then another song on another disc, and you play them side by side. And you got to switch from one side to the other side, and then all the knobs manipulate the voice in a certain manner. And to do that live, there's a lot of elements and things that need to change consistently over time, and then like you're switching from one to the other. It's very complex. Much easier to do that once on a computer and then press play and then pretend to turn the knobs and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's the modern day version of what was that thing that was it Avril Lavigne that got caught lip syncing on Jimmy
Uh,
Fallon or whatever? It's a modern day equivalent of lip singing.
yeah.
It's just playing
It wasn't
music.
Avril Lavigne. I think it was.
Taylor Swift.
No, it wasn't Taylor Swift. It was one of them. Miley Cyrus, maybe. I don't know.
Doesn't really matter.
I remember this incident. I don't remember who it was though.
Yeah, and literally when I remember when that happened, I was like, these are the kind of artists that their art is more about. Like, at least when they're performing, it's about the performance of their dance and like dancing around and like working the choreography. Like, you can't expect someone to like, you know, sing perfectly in tune and like to the song and like harmonize with like other people in the band while they're like doing backflips and like throwing themselves at
Yeah.
other people. Like pick
You,
one, either music or like stage play.
yeah.
Like, to do
Well,
both is kind of amazing.
that's another thing, yeah, where people are kind of also like they're unreasonable in their expectations, like because like they'll not only want the stage play there, they'll also want it. I want it to sound like it did on the radio. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, like that was super produced, lady. Like
Yeah,
that's hard.
super
Like,
produced.
yeah, it's hard to recreate that in the in the moment. And also, it's
Especially,
like your voice changes from day to day. You know, like some days it's more, especially if you're living a hard lifestyle, which I'm sure most of those people are.
yeah.
And that was the other thing about the scene that was kind of easy to like mock, like the electro thing is like, yeah, well, you're playing music to a bunch of like people whacked out on X, so like yeah,
They're easy to please.
yeah,
Just give them a
exactly.
flashlight, they're like flies. Cool beats.
It's like, yeah, oh, they're really into it. I wonder what that could be. Like, it's like you could give these guys like just a box full of Furbies and they'd be like rubbing up against it for 2 hours.
Because the scene initially started out as like ravers and people that danced and like took narcotics or whatnot. Not all of them, but a large majority of them. But then it
Dubstep sort of
became,
started in England, right? Like,
I don't
which one was the
know.
one that kind of started with like reggae? Like it was mixing together reggae and electric, and like it started off in England. Was that house maybe?
It might have been house. I
Yeah,
like house. House is more calm though. Or
yeah.
house is one of those things that's like it starts out calm, then it builds up, and then it breaks back down. Then it breaks down, then builds back up again. Like there's a rhythm to it.
Yeah,
Where
I think that's
step
was
is
house
kind
that started like
of
that. Sorry.
sporadic breakdowns. No, 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 you're good.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
like I don't know. The dubstep I feel like evolved. I might be wrong, but I feel like it evolved from like hardcore, like screamo, um, kind of music. Because you remember how there would be breakdowns and people would like spin their arms in like a mosh pit, and it would
Oh
be like
yeah.
very sporadic, crazy.
My
Uh,
kind of folks.
that's my interpretation. Because like one of the biggest dubstep artists is Sonny, the guy that made what's his name? Skrillex.
Skrillex.
Skrillex is like
Sunny.
his real name is Sonny. I met the guy with Socrates a long time ago
Really?
when he was a kid. Yeah, he was in a band called From First to Last.
Really?
Fantastic guy. Yeah, when I first met him, he had a top hat. Of course, I'm going to talk to this guy. He has a top hat on.
Yeah, jeez. See, like that's the creative spirit in that dude. Crazy bastard.
But it was interesting meeting the guy. But like I think at least for him, and he's the poster child for that genre in my opinion.
Yeah, no,
That's
definitely.
how it evolved. He started with hardcore music that had breakdowns, and then I guess he just he tested out electric dance music. I'm not sure if he. I think there's like a whole beef or story between him and like Deadmau5, and they met and they started like collaborating. But yeah, it evolved, and eventually he became bigger than Deadmau5,
Hmm.
at least because he pioneered or led the genre.
You're gonna have
Given I
to
don't
you're gonna have to send me some songs. I'm gonna try to appreciate them. I'm gonna try to expand my mind. So we'll talk about that off air. But I'm looking for something new. It's hard to find music these days. Like I know you don't know where to plug into. There's no the culture of music is so fragmented. What do you listen to top 40? It's like there's every once in a while there's something there that's kind of interesting and new and different. But I'm always
Makes
looking for
sense.
something new. I'm already sick of Takashi 6ix9ine, even though he's
I
my
saw. I can't. That one split second. That one split second, I played a video while we were on air,
he's great.
and immediately, nope, click out, nope.
I still like him like as a person, which is probably people feel the opposite way about him. It's like I like his music, but I hate him as a person. But like I like him as a personality, I should say, not as a person. 'Cause I don't know him. Like I just like his whole persona, his whole weird thing he does. He's a very strange person to watch. Fat kind of.
He's definitely a character, and he makes himself stick out in a way that no one
Yeah.
else really does. So I
That's
gotta give him respect for that.
the thing about. I feel like that's like the new age of music now. Like these Instagram people, it's not just about being artists or being like musicians. It's also kind of about like they put on little like reality TV shows for people. It's like
Yeah.
they're always like talking to each other, beefing about like random crap, making songs about this or that thing, and like, and then they just like put it on their Instagram live, and they post it all up for the world to see, and people follow that like it becomes like real life drama.
Absolutely. It's nowadays the way social media is you don't have to take this route, but your name and how you present and how you present yourself and the content you create is a brand. Like you are technically a brand if you're constantly putting stuff every day and you're trying to build up an audience and spread, because that's a genuine career path now. Whether that's on Twitch, whether that's on YouTube, whether it's on Instagram, or on all the platforms altogether, developing your own individual audience that'll come back to you on any different platform and that are willing to pay you money through like Patreon, as a patron, or like any other platform, like that's worth way more than working for an external company and then paying you to produce something.
Yeah,
that's worth value.
And it's like the brand of like I mean, you build a persona, but it's like the brand of like anti-brand almost, because like you let them see so much of you where they're like, like you get to be more in the process of seeing these people develop into whatever they are. Like the thing like you're talking about with Deadmau5, like, people get to watch him and you get to see these artists. You get to like, kind of hear like their day-to-day, what you might consider like kind of mundane crap, and you see like what they're thinking about, why they made this song, like who they're talking to. So you get to see more and more of them. And like your audience I think your audience becomes actually more for like who I think, not a musician, but like a company I think has kind of done like a good job of that, and it is Barstool. Like I think that's how they built. Like they built on being like very good at knowing how to build an internet audience by just exposing as much yourself as possible, because then people start to think like they start to see you as people, and then it's like, well, I don't want you to be perfect because you never had this pristine image to me. It's like I've seen you, doing all sorts of dumb things. I see all your, you show us all your flaws, and then it's like, well, I never expect you to be perfect. It's different than like the old day where you would have like a thing you presented, like you would just see the performer. You don't see the person. You see, like you see Tom Cruise, I am like, I'm smiling on camera and I'm this and that for you, like, and I'm only perfect in movies and I have all the lines, and then I give like, curtailed answers in short interviews. But now it's like, now you get to just see all warts, No,
but you're absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting.
It's funny how things have evolved into that.
It is
it's ultimately a good thing. I feel like it gives more opportunity, because it's based off how much effort you put in creating content and producing it and interacting with like the audience. It's a lot of work, and like anyone can do it. Anyone with an internet connection and the passion and the drive can become successful nowadays. They don't have to rely on going to work for a studio or a record label or whatever it is.
Well, it's a lower bar for success, like, because it's just like people are cut out. You really like, some of these people get so crazy rich off like a much smaller audience. Like, imagine like one of these YouTube people had like the audience of I don't know, it's like who's like a big star, like the Rolling Stones or something. You know what I mean? Like,
it's getting there.
I don't think they'll ever be that big. It's too like mono, like, because like everybody knew who they were, but like there are people that are huge that I could talk to a good portion of the country and they wouldn't have heard of, But
that's true.
So like, but they, but they're, I mean, I picked a very like extreme example because that was the most I could think of. But you're getting like similarly big like paychecks with a lot less, because like you're cutting out the middlemen. Like you're taking away this system where like there's manager and this and that and this all in between, all getting a cut, all cutting it up, and it's like the TV's cutting it up with the advertisers, and then like it's kind of like it filters its way back to you eventually, but you get a much smaller percentage of like what the whole pie was. Now you're getting a smaller piece of pie, but you're getting, I don't know how to complete that metaphor, but you're getting
but you're getting by cutting out the whole traditional creative process and the roles, and
by cutting out the gatekeepers.
Yeah, like I like to think of it like in regards to like music, because you're talking about music, is like say you produce something like well, the traditional way of becoming an artist was to create content and then somehow get attached to a label, and then that label will pay for you to record a new album, go on tour, and then like whatever, sell CDs or like how it is digitally. Let's just jump to it being digitally. So like on iTunes, say the average selling price of a song was like $1 for the longest time. Apple by default, I think it was takes like 30%.
Yeah.
Then the studio takes out like the other half, and at the end of the day, out of that whole dollar that someone paid to go to the artist maybe gets somewhere around 5 to like 20 cents.
Yeah. See, like that. Yeah, that's actually a much better way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Where they used to make like 20 cents on their dollar
Hmm.
that they produce, like they might be getting 80%. So, which a much smaller audience, you can get a lot. You can get much
You
more
you
money.
definitely you definitely got a bigger piece of the pie. But the consequence of that, of being as an individual creator that goes straight to putting it online, is you are now the producer. You need to figure out, okay, I need to go find a studio to record at. Okay, I need to find out other like what's it called producers to help me create this. I need to master it. You need to know a lot more in depth your platform, how it's made. Then you have to also actually go out and reach out to people that you maybe never even met before to
Yeah.
like help get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And
Well.
then, and a lot of Twitch streamers, a lot of them, they put stuff on YouTube. Like Ninja's super successful on YouTube. He doesn't edit all his stuff. He has a separate editor on the side, and he's got
Yeah.
his own publicist. Like you essentially need to, as an
You
individual
need to
person,
build your infrastructure. I
yeah,
mean, with
it's
freedom
a
comes
business.
responsibility. All right, sorry,
Exactly.
I gotta cut you off hard because
Go for it.
we're getting close to our limit here.
Ah,
Just
no, it was
just
a pleasure as
just when it
always.
was getting good. All right, and I'm actually getting blown up on my phone. My brother just called me 3 times, so I gotta call him back.
Go
Um,
for it.
all right, man.
We'll
Peace
pick up
out.
another time.
Yeah.
Later. Thank you everyone for listening.
Later. Bye bye.
And
Bye, Felicia. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to support us, you can, or contact us, you can email us at thedeadendradio@gmail.com, or you can contact us at Twitter at deadendradio. Nope, got it wrong again. It's at Dead Radio USA. Thank you.